Hey everyone, I'm Marina from Pineapple Yarn. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to share with you what I have been making this week. So this week I have been spinning a ton. As a matter of fact, that's what I've mostly been doing, but I have had a few opportunities to sneak in some knitting as well, of course. So I have been really into spinning up my Advent calendar. This is a fiber Advent calendar that I purchased from Woolfiend, and instead of doing an Advent calendar in December as one normally does, I've found that I love doing it in February, so that's what I did this year. This is my latest mini that I spun up. This is day 5, I believe, and I just thought I thought it turned out so pretty. It is just the most gorgeous combination of olive greens and rusts and this very light blush pink. I absolutely love this. And you know, one thing that is amazing about the magic of spinning is that fiber blends together as you spin it. And depending how it's dyed, it really can turn out completely different than you thought it would. And so that's how this one turned out. I had no idea it would come out looking this way, but I really love the result. And there's so many different beautiful shades in here. There's even a little bit of yellow and lime green. It's so beautiful. So I spun this on my Electric Eel Wheel at about number 2 speed, so a pretty slow speed. The reason is because I like to slightly underply my singles, and then I don't want to say overply them, because I do like to keep it a little bit below a 45-degree angle when I apply. But for the most part, I like a kind of lofty single, and then I just think it makes the barber pole effect really pop. So that's what I normally do. I do ply on the fastest speed though, because I love to ply, and I do it all by eye, just like seeing. So, you know, my spinning isn't the most accurate, I guess, if it's not on an actual wheel, but it is really fast and it's really fun. So this is number 5. Let me get the rest of the days that I have already spun up. So I have all of these minis so far. Oh, they're turning out so pretty. Let me hold them up for you. All together there will be 12 minis that I'm spinning, and I would say they're at a worsted to bulky weight at this point. So here they all are. Hope you can see them. So I have a lot of like really pretty pinky purples and blues, but there are a couple of green ones in there. And they go from here. This is day 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the new one is 5. So that's what I have mostly been spinning up this week. And what I plan on doing with these, I am trying to keep them in order. So I will open day 6 later today and spin that up, and then I'll be halfway through the calendar, which is crazy. But I think what I'm going to do is wait until I open them all up and see how they look all laid out. And what I really want to do at this point is kind of like rearrange them so they're in a specific color order, because that's just what I do. And I don't know what I'm going to knit with them right now, because I'm already working on a sweater spin. I haven't made any progress on that this week, but I'm using Targhee. I should say these are Targhee, and I already am doing a sweater spin in Targhee, Cordale, and BFL, and that's a combo ply, and it's the same gauge. It's like a worsted to bulky weight. So I don't think I want to do another sweater with this, but who knows? I mean, all of these are about an ounce, and so at the end I'll have 12 ounces. Depending on the yardage I get, which I am measuring the yardage on these, So we'll see. We'll see if I have enough for a sweater and if I even want to go that route. It would be really fun though, because this Targhee is very, very elastic and squishy. It's been an interesting fiber. I can't say that I have spun a lot of Targhee before this, and I still don't know if it's like my favorite fiber to spin with. I like that it is, it's a non-superwash, so it's an easier spin. It has a lot of elasticity and bounce. It is not too fine a fiber, so it's not, it's easier to spin, but it is not a very coarse, rustic feeling fiber. It's very soft. This is definitely next to skin soft. It is very lovely. The only thing is that I feel like it's difficult to draft evenly, and I'm not sure why. I've been doing my best on my sweater spin with the Targhee, as well as, you know, these minis, I'm spinning them at least every other day. I'm working on them, and I am still having a good amount of difficulty achieving an even draft on them, and I'm still not sure why. I really haven't. What I need to do is get some of my books out. Oh, here's some of my books. I don't even know if I have it in here, but I need to get a book that specifically talks about Targhee. I need to get it out and I need to read it, because it may give me some clues on why this is just a little bit difficult. I don't know if I would say it has a chalky type finish, but it definitely doesn't have any shine. So anyway, it is so fun to learn all of this and work on these new projects. It's been really fun. So here's these fun 5 minis. They're just, they're all so beautiful and different and unique. It has been so much fun, and I'm really glad that I went with a fiber advent calendar this year instead of a yarn advent. I think it just kind of adds a new little nuance to it, and you know, it's awesome to have something like this to be able to practice every day. I am going to do all of my spinning right now, and then I'll do my knitting, because that's just the way this is going this week. So the other spinning that I worked on is kind of unusual. I pulled a skein of yarn after I rearranged all of my yarn skeins. A couple of skeins popped out to me and kind of reminded me that they needed to be worked with. So I pulled out a skein of yarn. I'll pop a picture on the screen. And it was a spin that I did last year by taking random pieces of fiber, and of course the dyer is escaping me, and I did not write it down on my original tag, but I used it as kind of an advent project of sorts, and it was so much fun. I just took a little batlet every day and just spun it. It is I'm pretty sure it's a superwash merino, and I chain plied it at the very end. I spun it on my crump skein minstrel, and I had intended to use it for socks. And I'd never really spun sock yarn before. I had never really, it was funny, as I did get into spinning because I wanted to spin my own sock yarn, and soon realized that I much prefer spinning and knitting with kind of a DK worsted or bulky weight, which is just funny. So anyway, I intended to use it as sock yarn, and I was pretty sure it was too thin by the time I got done, and it was, let's see, 3.9 ounces or 110 grams, and it ended up being about 654 yards, which is very thin. I mean, unbelievable. So I knew I was going to have to do something with it in the future. I really wanted to use it for socks. So I had the idea, after I was organizing my stash behind me, I had found this beautiful Madelinetosh skein of lace weight yarn that I've had for years. Because when I really seriously started knitting, I loved doing charted lace, like beautiful lace shawls, which is so funny. Anyway, I had a skein of Madelinetosh lace weight, and it was the original button jar blue, which is just still the most stunning color. It is so, so pretty. And I thought, what would happen if I applied together this lace weight with the other skein of yarn that I had already spun up, because it is about a lace weight. And I did a little sample, and I actually really, really loved it. The twists were going in the same way. It really looked like it was going to work. So I put them both through my wheel, the Electric Eel Wheel, and put some more twist in it, and then plied them together. And so this giant squishy skein is what it turned out to be. This is a massive skein of yarn. I skein up or wind up all of my yarn onto 2-yard lengths. It really helps with measuring, and I just like the way it's just easier for me instead of like a short hank. So this is a 2-yard. If I was going to unwind this would be 2 yards, and look how massive it is. It is so big. I really love how it turned out. I think it turned out so beautiful. And, you know, it really made me appreciate, as I was spinning this, or applying these two together, it really made me appreciate the consistency of the yarn I had spun last year. I thought it was very consistent, actually. I mean, there were some spots that were a little larger. There were some spots that were a little thinner, but all in all, I thought it was really, really good. And it may be because of the chain ply. When you have those 3 plies going together, sometimes that helps, but usually with chain plies, it almost emphasizes, or it can emphasize, when you have, say you have a little bit of a chunkier spot, you are just plying 3 chunky strands together, you know? And so a true 3-ply can actually even out your yarn and make it kind of balance it out, make it look more even. I am so excited about this. So let me give you a few little stats on it. It ended up being about a fingering weight, really a true fingering weight. I do think you can knit socks with this. It is 184 grams and about 616 yards. So just as a rough estimate, I did not do reps per inch or anything on this, but I do think it's going to be awesome for socks. And I'm going to have some left over, of course. So if you can look very, very closely at this, you will see that the angle at which I plied both of these is a little under a 45-degree angle. And I did that intentionally for a couple of reasons. First of all, I knew that I was going to get a ton of yardage with this. No question, this was going to be a ton of yardage. And so as much as I want to knit socks from this, I'm going to have a lot left over, and I want to make sure that I have a nice moderate twist angle on this, so when I go to knit it, it isn't hard on my hands, it's not ropey, because I used to love like that true 45-degree angle. I just thought it was so aesthetically pleasing. And so I actually spun a lot of yarn with this gorgeous barber pole effect at a 45-degree angle. And then when I eventually knit with that yarn, I realized it was kind of hard to knit with. It just didn't have a lot of give. And so now what I try to do with my yarn is I try to ply a little bit below or a little bit less than a 45-degree angle. And it makes it easier to knit with, and it's just more enjoyable to knit with, really. And so that's kind of what I did with this. I figured with a 2-ply superwash, I guess they're both superwash merino, both of these yarns are. One is a 2-ply, one is chain plied, so it's kind of a 3-ply. And I figured they'd be plenty durable for socks, even though I did not ply them at a really steep angle. I think that makes sense. So that was my reasoning going into it, but isn't it beautiful? I'm so happy with this, and I am going to knit some socks with this. I'd actually been inspired by Andrea Mowry because she has been spinning, and she is doing like a sock knitting along with one of her patterns, and I thought it would be really fun to use this in that pattern, and so that's kind of what inspired me to do this. And so we'll see if I get there. I do want to knit some socks from this though, but I wanted to show you before I broke into the skein. So that is some knitting I did. And then I did have some of the Madelinetosh lace weight left over. Since it already had the twist in it, I decided to go ahead and just do a chain ply on this yarn. And so this became about a sport weight. And I have a really pretty skein of yarn in my stash. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. And it is a sport weight, and I've kind of been just holding on to it for a while. This is by the Fawn and the Fox, who is no longer dying, and it's the colorway Unicorn. It is an 80/20 superwash merino and nylon. And I've just never used this because it's sport weight, and so, I mean, you could do socks with it for sure, but I've kind of just been holding on to it too. But I thought, oh, these would go so well together. They'd be so pretty because there is this kind of turquoisey aqua color on the back of the skein, and I thought those would match really pretty. So I think what I'm going to do is just pair this mini skein that I spun up with this yarn and maybe use them together in a project. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do though. I always thought this would be, you would have to probably add some more yarn, but I always thought this would be the cutest baby sweater or, you know, kid project. But I really like the colors on this. So I think I am going to pair them together in something. I'm just not sure. This is 328 yards. And this, let's see, it ended up being about 65 yards. It's 28 grams, about 65 yards. So that's a good amount. I mean, I could do a sport weight pair of socks. I think that'd be really cute. I'm not really sure, but I was really happy about that. And I was happy to use this yarn because Madelinetosh was one of the first small hand-dyed tan dyers that I bought yarn from many years ago, and I loved their tonals. And I mean, I know everyone likes speckles these days. Not everyone, but Madelinetosh certainly is dyeing a lot of variegated, speckled colorways, but their tonals really were kind of magical a long time ago. They were just so unique, and yeah, so this is special yarn. You know, it has a lot of memories, and I always wanted to use it for something really specific because it was so hard to get this colorway too, this button jar blue, because everyone wanted it. It was such a beautiful colorway. It was always sold out. So that was my spinning this week, and I really, really had a good time spinning, and I really have for the past couple of weeks actually really been into spinning. And this is how spinning always is with me, is that I get really excited about it and do tons and tons of spinning and then take a long break or a break for a couple of months maybe. That's usually what I do. So I'm going to move on to knitting now. I finished my pair of chunky red mittens. Oh my goodness, these are just the best. These are so gorgeous. I love these so much. These are a pair of mittens for my daughter, my oldest daughter, and it was a very special skein of yarn. And I had some good friends go to Iceland for their honeymoon about 10 years ago, and they brought me back 2 skeins of yarn, and I've never used them because I wanted to use them in a really good project, you know, something very intentional that would be used. And it is, I don't think I have the ball band in here, but it was Alafas Lopi in the Fire Red Tweed colorway. I'll give you a close-up of how gorgeous these are. I cannot get over how gorgeous these are. So I do want to mention, I am so thankful to those of you who reached out and helped me find more of this yarn. I think it is sold out. Unfortunately, I did have several of you reach out to me and let me know that there's a store in the UK that is selling this Fire Red Tweed colorway, and I'm so excited. I tried to place an order with them, and unfortunately I think the website is still up, but there is no method of payment, and I think they're out of business. So it's really too bad. This is just the most beautiful colorway, and yeah, I'm glad I'm done with these because I can't have them around the rest of the family anymore because, like I said, this, like all these like really pretty tweed bits and this beautiful like ruby red color, it is creating a lot of, I mean, it's not a huge deal, but there's some jealousy going on. Definitely, I have at least 2 other children who want these mittens. So they're beautiful though. They're so beautiful. They're so warm. And I used the World's Simplest Mittens pattern from Tin Can Knits. I used the chunky version, and the size is the women's small. I went down a needle size, so these are very, very sturdy, very warm mittens, and they're great. They're Icelandic wool, so they're very, very warm. And I knit 2 other pairs for my youngest children, and I recently just washed them, and they washed up so beautifully. I just washed them, just laid them out to dry, and they look so good. They really are, it's a beautiful yarn. They knit up so great. So these are done, and we'll see if they actually get used that much because it isn't really that warm or that cold here. We get a little bit of cold weather here and there, but yeah. They're really nice though. They're great mittens. And of course, you know, when you need mittens, a lot of times it's a storm you don't know is coming, and it's just nice to have those things. So I have another project I'd like to share with you. And this is one I haven't shared with you before. I wanted to show you my Seabreeze Advent colorway from 2021. Seabreeze is my advent calendar for 2021, and all of you had the option of purchasing the full skein of yarn. It was a special colorway I dyed for the Seabreeze Advent calendar, and it will never be dyed again. So it was a really special colorway. And I knit a pair of socks with the colorway, and I finished one. So here it is. And I can't tell you how much I love this colorway. I think it turned out so, so pretty. So let me give you a close-up. Hopefully it won't blow out too much. But again, this is the full skein of my Seabreeze colorway, and it is just the most amazing blend of really pale sea greens and aquas, periwinkle blue, light cotton candy pink, and then I put in all of these super delicate speckles, and I don't even know if you can see them. When I go back to edit, I'll see how it looks on the screen, and then I may have to take some photos and just insert them, because this is a really, like, I want it to be just like super airy and light and just kind of lighthearted and refreshing. And I definitely think this colorway is all of those things. I think it turned out so beautifully. And so what I did is I knit this on my circular sock machine, and then I just grafted the toe, and I added a little mini skein of my Dusty Sage colorway, and I did a 1x1 rib on top. I think it was 15 rounds. And then the very top I did the Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, and that's how I did it, and I just absolutely love it. So one sock is done, and I'll show you where I'm at on the other sock. So my other sock I've actually picked up all the stitches for the cuff, and so this is how it comes off on the machine. I usually knit several socks all at once just because it makes it easier. But I currently have, so here, let me just go ahead and show you. This is the heel for the next sock. This is the toe. The heels and toes are knit exactly the same on the sock machine. And then I have some Christmas socks attached to it. So once I actually go to graft this toe, all of this will come off, and I'll have these, oh goodness, what are these called? Waste yarn, that's right. So all this waste yarn will just go to this, will be on this next sock, and it will come off once I pick up the stitches for the cuff on this sock. So it's kind of looks funny when it comes off the machine, but it's kind of like magic. I love it. One thing I have found with my circular sock machine and just knitting socks in general is that I can do all of this on the machine. I can put a hung hem, which I have done with a ton of socks, but I do like the hand finishing on a sock. So I do like having, you know, my string of socks off the machine, and then being able to just pick up and do, you know, either a 2x2 cuff or a 1x1 cuff, and just having that time to like hand finish. And obviously it is faster than a 100% hand knit sock, but just that little bit of hand finishing really is, it's nice. So I just wanted to share this with you. I love this colorway so much. I'm just incredibly happy how it came out, and I thought it just really matched the mood of the advent calendar and everything I was trying to, just the feel that I was trying to extend with the colors and the yarn. So really, really liked this. So I'm excited to show it to you now. But other than that, that is really all I have been knitting this week. This next week, I plan on finishing up those socks. That's kind of like a here and there, you know, whenever I can pick them up kind of thing. And for the rest of this month, I'm really going to be focused on spinning up my advent calendar and then just enjoying the last half of that, and maybe thinking about some patterns that I could knit up. I do have a few baby knits for gifts that I need to knit up. So I have a couple of patterns in mind, and I'm just thinking about the best colors of yarns to use. So I will keep you updated with those this next week. I should mention before I go, I am wearing one of my favorite shawls today, and I'm so excited about it. This is the Hipster Shawl by Joji Locatelli, and I'm sure you've seen it before. I made it several years ago in the colorway Profound. This was from Pineapple Yarn. I don't think I have any more in the shop. I haven't dyed it in quite a while. It's just this gorgeous kind of purpley indigo color, and it has all of these like beautiful crisscross sections in this pattern, and then of course it has these really cute fringes on the bottom. It's this nice crescent shawl shape, which I really love. It's a very wearable shape for me, so I decided to wear it today. Thought it was kind of bright and colorful, so I'm wearing it today. It's a really beautiful day here. It's very sunny and it's not too cold. We are in, I think it's like the mid-60s today, so it's really pleasant out. It's a perfect day for the children to go outside, so I am going to make sure that they're all outside later this afternoon. But other than that, I shipped all of your clubs out. So for everyone who has purchased a club for February, thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you who subscribe and who decide to try it out with a one-time purchase. This month's, oh, they are just beautiful. Really, really beautiful. And if you haven't noticed, maybe some of you have, maybe you haven't, I am trying something a little new this year with my clubs, and I am going to start coordinating. Hopefully this will work month after month, but my Glow Club and my Sun Club, those two yarns will coordinate with each other. So many of you buy both the Glow Club and the Sun Club, and I hope to keep those both coordinating, so you have the option of using those two skeins in a 2-skein shawl, or maybe adding a coordinating tonal for 3 skeins. You could do a gorgeous striped sweater if you took those 2 variegated tonal or variegated skeins and then added 2-3 other colors and made stripes. Oh, it'd be so gorgeous. And then also it gives you a little more versatility to use other skeins that might be in your collection of yarn. So hopefully I'll be able to do that all year. I really, I've been feeling that, and I really enjoy doing that. So that's what I hope to do for 2022. And so those are out the door. I hope you all really, really love them. And the March pre-orders are in the shop right now. So if you pre-order with my clubs in the month of February, those will go out in March. And that's how it works. Anything purchased the month before goes the month after. It's a little confusing, but it's the best method I have so far. And this next week, I'll just be getting ready for my update, which is next Friday, February 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern at pineappleyarn.com. I will have a ton of variegated tones, lots of bright colors, a lot. So I hope you enjoy that. And for those of you who asked, very quickly, I do have Odyssey shawl pre-orders in the shop right now. I'll link below. And in case you're interested in that 3-color shawl, it's just beautiful. So those are on pre-order right now. And I guess that's really all I have to mention this week. I hope that all of you are doing great where you are and enjoying crafting and having lots of time to craft and just having so much fun with it. Thank you so much for watching me. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love if you'd give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next week with another episode. Until then, I hope you have an awesome day. Bye.